So I'm just gonna read like a little bit of a longer statement about my work that maybe answers some questions like what is biomythography and who are Jaybird and the Queen of Hearts. After that, we can have some questions if you have any, and then I have some stories to share about them to elucidate who they were in this realm. So, biomythography is a term coined by Audre Lorde, defined as combining elements of history, biography, and myth within literature. My exploration of this idea is a continuation of the ongoing series of paintings, collages, poems, and stories in my mythical memory series. And this body of work combines Afro-surrealism, abstraction, and elements of pop art aesthetics. And this overlap and intersection of genres is used to create a dialogue around the abstract qualities of time and memory, the liminality of the dream space, and the way in which personal narratives can create a mythology. Time and memory are components of history. The mythology enters as the realm where the dream space and memory coincide. Love is the enduring force that weaves it all together. In the visual arts space, I recently learned about the curators Wembley and Christian, who've been exploring biomythography as an interdisciplinary arts practice using multimedia, performance, and public art to engage, to challenge norms and expand narratives. And this has been like an ongoing series that they did from like 2014 to 2020. If that sounds interesting to you, you can find out more about them at biomythart.com. Since about 2011, my work has been an exploration of memory, history, personal mythology / narrative, ancestry, and identity. Our identity can be shaped by the mythology upon which we base our existence and the subsequent labels that we choose or are given. And moving through my familial mythology, I've been tracing my way back through family history with an inquiry into discovering that which is gained and or lost through generations, passed down through genetic memory, bloodlines, and dreamscapes. Through rediscovering their stories, I am reshaping my own. I believe gathering the stories from the past, knowing them and sharing them is a means to healing learned dysfunctional patterns, as well as embracing inherited strengths and gifts. These stories of our personal history, which live in our bodies, and the stories of our ancestry, which we carry in our DNA, shape the way in which we view the world and our place within it. The creation of narrative is part of the human experience, imperative to it. We all create stories and ingest them daily. We like to share them, we like to try to understand other people through them. It's the narratives that we create that help us to shape and witness who we are. And whether our personal narratives live inside a greater truth or false, they end up becoming true for us in the way that we mythologize them. Any story can build into a myth. In the context of this work, the mythology can mix chronology, the ordinary holds magic, and the narratives are shaped in the context of love. Jaybird and the Queen of Hearts are my parents, Donald J. and Elizabeth. And this is an exhibition about the love between them before I was born, and of course, the love that I have for them. So like I said, I'll share some stories in a bit to give you an idea about who they were in this realm. And just to note that the Queen of Hearts is not a reference to the antagonist in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Adventures in Wonderland. It's kind of the opposite of that. So I'll just talk a little bit about the repetition, just my creative process. The repetition you can see in the paintings. This is really, I think, three different paintings that are taken from like snapshots, Polaroids, and then just different iterations of those same pieces kind of repeated over and over again. And this is part of that exploration of the pop art aesthetic. And I'm just trying to explore like the many emotions that can live inside one moment, the color that those emotions can have, the fleetingness of any one moment to stay static in one impression, the beauty of one moment to envelop a feeling or many feelings, and the heartbreak of a moment that can put everything into perspective. So the layering of images helps to add to the surreal quality. So this series kind of started with the Kiss 1, which is not included in this exhibition, but I can reference this one because it's the same idea. When I started this series, I was ready to paint that day. And so I looked up on the Blick website. I was like, oh, they have the size canvas I want. I went to the art store and it wasn't there. And I was like, oh. So I came back to my studio. I was like, there has to be something in here that I can use. So there was a painting that I had that was, I would say, like 80% finished. And I just could not, it had been years since it had been in that state and I didn't know how to resolve it. So I just superimposed the painting that I wanted to do on top of that image, and that kind of started me working in a different way by like kind of reclaiming old work, or even pieces that I thought were finished, and then I'd superimpose something on top of them. I'm like, oh, that was waiting for that. That wasn't done yet. So this one is from a series of trees that I did that were exhibited here probably 2016, not in this space, but at the ARC Gallery. And you can kind of see it's the same tree as the one back here that's connecting these two paintings together. So the piece on the right is from like that series of work from 2016, and it just happened to go with the painting that was created in 2022. Like I didn't try to match them together. They just kind of went together after they were complete. So I said before that the images are taken from old photographs, and those images kind of guided me on an archaeological mining for the gems of their lives. The photos led me deeper into their story. So this work took place after my parents passed away, so it felt kind of like a way to like selfishly spend some more time with them and just kind of like try to understand who they were before I existed. And then also thinking about memory as an abstraction. Memory holds our entire story, but how much of that is our real story? And what stories do we tell ourselves about those stories? Which stories do we own and which ones own us? And how do we break free from those that don't serve our greatest good? And which ones are there for us to uncover, recover, or discover for the healing of our ancestors, our progeny, and ourselves? So this, I have my own reasons and ideas about what things are in the paintings and why I painted them, but I don't want to be too specific and interfere with the magic that others have in finding what they see. I appreciate the conversation and discovery that happens when others tell me what they see in the work. So there's one piece in particular, and it's this piece here, the many iterations of it. Not that one, this one, and then on either side of the wall back there, that is the same image again. And everyone that has spoken to me about it, and I do mean everyone, has told me that they see a mother and child in there. And that's not what I thought I was painting. But I'm like, if everybody sees it, then it's there. So I love that there's like, I don't even know everything that I'm doing and the things that come out when there's that conversation between me and the work and other people bringing something to the conversation. And then the work kind of gets more and more abstract. Like this piece is one of these two are kind of newer pieces. And again, that's kind of the idea of how memory becomes more and more fragmented over time. You can't really like paint a full picture or see the full picture. So I'm just kind of exploring that idea of how like memory breaks down and how there's always like some kind of poetic license that's used when kind of recalling or retelling a memory. So that's all. Any questions before I, or comments, anything before I go to the stories? Yes.
It was one of your best decisions to put that woman's face with the abstraction. It completely changes the meaning of the abstract to have this woman with her questionable expression.
Okay.
I really like that.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are these newer than the ones here? And you're nodding yes. What what inspired your shift to really high chromatic color?
I don't know. I think the color is kind of intuitive. Like I don't really have a specific reason for it. I always start like a painting with one base color over the whole piece, and then sometimes I don't even know what's going on top of it, and I'm just like, that canvas wants to be blue. And then sometimes maybe the background color doesn't even stay the same. So it's just kind of more of an intuitive process of just in the moment, like what colors call to me. And then those colors are very specific about what they want to be. So any one color that you see on top might have 4, 7 colors underneath it until I get just like, oh, it needs a little more. And I'm like, okay, that's the right color. So it's always just more intuitive than anything else that I can explain of why I choose certain colors.
I have a question, Monica. You know, I'm always interested in the influences that artists draw from and the people who came before them who were artists making art. You know, you have like people that you really feel influence you, I guess. So I was curious, do you have like artists that you feel have influenced you, or particular kind of art?
Well, just like the surrealism, abstraction, and to be generic about it, and what else is in here? I'm losing my thoughts. Yes, thank you. So just more like genres.
Yeah.
But I would say probably more literature. Like I feel like Toni Morrison is like a big influence in the way that I create, like the way that I think about art.
Yeah, yeah.
So that idea of like archaeological mining for the gems of their lives, that's like something that I borrowed from her in the way that she told her story. She felt like she was like gathering some information and then using her poetic license to like add what needed to fill in the story. And I feel like that's kind of the same way that memory works. So I would say more from literature than from,
Yeah.
but whole genres. So I can't really name like a specific artist that I feel particularly inspired by.
Well, and I mean, not just one artist, but, you know, we're so fortunate to be involved in the arts and we're always looking at all kinds of work and so many influences. You know, you take in and you take it in sometimes subconsciously and sometimes,
absolutely.
you know, that changes too over time, like you're looking at one thing and then another. And I just love that about people who make art. I'm not saying this very well, but anyway. So I was just curious about what you looked at And not that you would copy stuff, because that's not what we do, but it's sort of like, for me, it's like, oh my God, a window's been opened, you can do that, and
Yeah,
so the
for
sky's
sure.
the limit in terms of what you can do. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
Thank you.
I have a comment. It reminds me, the style, a little bit of the 70s psychedelic.
That, like, particularly the blue,
The
yeah,
particularly
the
these
electric
four,
ones,
yeah.
yeah.
Through that line, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'll receive that with joy.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm influenced by everything I see. You know, it's all in there, and I'm borrowing all the time from everything I've already witnessed.
Did your mom get to see your, did your mom get to see your painting?
I feel like she did. Like all of these have been created after she left this realm, but I get little, like, messages that make me feel like yes. So I had another show in the Quad Cities just a few months ago, and it was this series, but there's more of these, so there were more of them there, and I gave them kind of a layout of how I thought the work would look best. And the curator there, she laid it out mostly the way that I wanted, but there was one piece that she was like, this piece I really thought belonged by the door. And it's actually another painting of my mother as like the Queen of Hearts, like kind of looking like a playing card with a heart on it. So my mother, when anyone would ever come to visit her, she would greet them at the door with a hug. So I felt like my mom was like, put me by the door. Like, I want to say hi to everybody that's coming in to see this work about me, you know? So stuff like that happens, it makes me feel like, yes, they can see it, but not from this side.
But before she passed, she saw your earlier work
Oh yeah,
and was
yeah,
supportive.
absolutely, oh my God, yes, yes.
I'm interested in, so some of these are kind of like portraits. But, you know, portraits obviously is a broad category. I was thinking about your sense of yourself and a narrative about yourself. Because it's interesting, these are all about a time before you. And then there is you. And when you were describing your kind of intuitive sense of what colors belong, I'm just wondering, do you have a sense of what's changed within you in the process of this amalgamation? Because you are so in these works, whether your unfinished work are underneath them, or you're the one who's choosing the photographs, or you're the person who's intuitively understanding what color needs to be here. And I'm just wondering if there are moments when you're having a different sense of like, I am different now, having made this.
That's a really good question. I don't know. It was definitely like part of a grief process, and I feel like because the work was coming so fast after that, and just yeah, I'll have to contemplate that one. That's a really good question. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell some stories about them. So the first, they're all very short. The first two are stories that put me in relationship with them as a child. So one about my mother and one about my father, and then the rest of the stories are kind of like about them more towards the end of their life. And one of them kind of mixes the chronology of past and present. So the first one is called Dirt. I grew up in the age of Atari, but I was never good at video games, nor particularly interested in them. My cousins who lived around the corner and down the street had the game console in their family room. Pac-Man was the game of choice on that machine. I couldn't stay in the game long enough to get the feel for it. I preferred to be outside, riding my bike, or climbing trees, or when I was younger, 4, 5, 6 years old, playing in the dirt. Old-fashioned mud pies could hold my attention for long periods of time. The fascination with dirt came in noticing ants, ant hills. How did they get each granule like its own entity so neatly piled into a tiny mountain? All ants working together in this mission, moving dirt. Mine had clumps of different sizes, rocks, tiny stick fragments, pieces of leaves. This was a puzzle for me to solve, how to get my dirt as beautiful as that of the ants. And then I saw my mother using a flour sifter while she was mixing together one of her delicious pound cakes. And I knew the answer. I asked her if I could borrow her sifter or the colander to clean my dirt and make a perfect mud pie. To this, she did not scowl, but did refuse with a promise to buy me my own pie tools.
We haven't
That's for you.
How long I had to wait, I don't recall. I do remember that when it arrived, it was an entire play set, including a little shovel. My excitement in testing out these new tools was glee-filled. They worked. Shovel for better digging and plastic colander for sifting, and my dirt rivaled that of the ant families. A tin pie pan, a little water, and the patience to let the thing bake in the sun made my mud pie perfect. And even better, as an accepted gift that I offered to my neighbor, Grandma Kelly. Do kids still play in the dirt? I know, right? Okay, this is another childhood story, and this one is just called Dad. One ordinary hot summer day, my sister and I were visiting our cousins who lived around the corner and down the street from us. We were sitting together in their family room watching the end of an episode of Brady Bunch. We couldn't have been there for more than 15 minutes when the phone rang. It was my dad saying that it was time for us to come home. He wasn't even at home when we had left, and we couldn't figure out why he would want us to come home now. Our mom had okayed our visit, but our cousins helped to convince us that we must have been in trouble for something. But what? All the way up the street, we wondered. Whatever it was, it must have been something that my sister and I both had done. Otherwise, we figured he would have let the other one of us stay. What did we do? We left our brother home to play by himself. Maybe that's it. He's upset because we didn't take him with us. No, that's silly. He was with his friends when we left, and besides, he didn't even want to go with us. All the way around the corner, we wondered. Our room? Were we supposed to clean our room before we went out today? No. What then? When we got to our front yard, there was no longer any need to try and guess why we had been summoned. We knew we were about to find out. My dad was standing on the front steps with his arms crossed. He knew that we were scared. Come on in the house, he said. There were only 3 steps to climb to get to the other side of that door. Greeting my sister, me and my sister, was our little brother. Standing in front of 3 brand new bicycles. Nobody's birthday present, not even close to Christmas. No holiday, just because. Smiles lit up all of our faces, and my dad let out a deep, warm-hearted laugh. Gotcha, didn't I?
So you have a sister and a brother, are they both younger? Or?
Yeah, they're both younger.
And these series are taking place in Chicago or something?
This is Kewanee, Illinois, is where I grew up, which
It's
is
where?
Kewanee. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here's Illinois.
Okay, so it's. Do you know the Quad Cities?
Sure.
Okay, that's where my parents eventually moved to. So Kewanee is like maybe 45 miles inland from there. So the Quad Cities are on the Mississippi River, and Kiwani is kind of like inland. It was like a small town, population like 13,000, and then it was surrounded by a bunch of small towns that were farmland. Like on an average summer day, you can get the wind blew right. You could smell the hog farm the next town over. This one is called Rainbow. Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky is a line from the Stevie Wonder song As. It's a song about the enduring power of love. This was the last song that I danced to with my mother before she passed away. That day was an average day. My parents sat at their reciprocal ends of the dining table. My dad, near the windows where he could look out and witness the wildlife that visited their front lawn. In this small Midwestern town, nestled alongside the Mississippi River, lush with trees and rolling hills, all manner of creature could be seen, from sparrows to hawks, from deer to raccoon. My mom sat closer to the kitchen where she worked, cooking and sharing love through food. She had just finished preparing a meal and was taking a rest. The air in the room was filled with the scent of freshly baked from scratch lemon pound cake, baked barbecue chicken wings, and macaroni and cheese from the box, but with an addition of shredded cheese and lots of butter. In this moment, my dad was playing Bid Whist, it's a card game, on the app on his phone. And then suddenly, and without prompt, the song As popped on and started playing. My dad exclaimed that he hadn't queued up the song to play and that it had begun playing all by itself. My mom, who was at the time having a difficult time standing, let alone walking or dancing, got up from her seat as I was singing the lyrics. Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky. And we hugged. My sister tried to record the event, but somehow it didn't take. And as much as I would like to be able to witness that moment secondhand, I'm sure that it didn't look the way that it felt. Her embrace was warm, but neither of us clinging. And we danced. And there was joy in the room. Blue light. My 4-year-old self was seated on the couch on the opposite side of the room from where Jaybird and the Queen of Hearts were stationed, making out on the love seat. It was fairly dark in the room, not the dark of night, light enough in the room so that the lights didn't need to be turned on. A blue light appeared from above them in a shape that resembled a hand, but it was translucent and slightly larger than life. It appeared to tap the two as one on the back and then faded away like an aura that perched and disappeared. What was that? I asked in a tone concerning enough for them to break their embrace. I told them about the blue light. Oh, that was a love pat from God, Jaybird said, not at all concerned, like it was an ordinary happening. The color of that light was a warm blue, similar to that color that would appear after turning off the television set in the 70s, that color that lingered and then slowly faded into a tiny dot before disappearing. Anybody remember that? Yeah. That moment with them on the couch also repeated full circle, and for whatever reason, I was allowed to witness both moments. Jaybird sat next to the Queen of Hearts on her bed during one of her last days on earth. He asked her if she would marry him again given the chance, and she nodded yes. And then the lightest smooch between them. I saw that light again when the Queen of Hearts was nearing her last days. It appeared as that same blue, and immediately I was drawn back to that moment of my parents on the couch that day so many decades before in the early years of their love. That same color of warm blue light. This time, a dot. A tiny dot on her forehead at that space where the forehead meets the hairline, right in the center. It appeared and then slowly faded away. Got one more. And this one explains a little bit about the name Jaybird. I had a little speaker, but I think it's small enough in here. I have a little sound effect to begin. Jaybird, a eulogy. What can I say about Donald J? Dad, Paw, Paul, Uncle Don J, Uncle Duck, Jaybird. He was a friend to many. He was a help to the elderly and a friend to the infirm. He was also a little rascal. That wasn't in there, but I thought I needed to add it just in case I was getting a little too soft in here. He liked to dance, and he loved to laugh. He was sharing, a caring heart, congenial. He loved the wildlife out there, he really did, and he would always call them his animals. Saw my deer today, and them birds, man, he really loved the birds. And him and my mom would make sure the birds were fed every day. And it makes me think of the scripture, Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Talking about how God's got the birds covered. I'm like, yeah, because he put Liz and Donald J in charge of that. You could come by any day and see the birds gathering around the food. It was so intense one time, my sister sent me a message with a picture where there must have been upwards of 30 to 40 birds in the yard. And she said, this is excessive. Can you please ask Mom to stop toasting leftover bread and French toast for the birds? I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful. It speaks to me of abundance and love and overflowing abundance. And all the creatures knew, and they would tell all of their friends. I'm going to the Browns to get me something to eat today. Y'all coming? He would open that door sometimes and let out a bird call to the wrens. So that was the bird call that he could sing. And those birds would answer him back. He wasn't waiting for the bird to sing and then him mimic the bird. He would lead, and he had that call down so good, the bird would answer him back. They'd be out there having a little conversation. It was amazing, I tell you. He loved creatures great and small. He said he didn't like nobody, but I know. My sister told me that a few days before he passed, there was a gathering of sparrows in the yard, larger than any gathering she had seen out there before. He called her to come take a look. She asked what he had fed them. He said that he hadn't fed them anything yet. They were flying back and forth across the street. There was nothing there for them to eat, but they kept flying back and forth. I think the sparrows wanted to say thank you. We love you, Pops, Dad, Pa, Pawpaw, Uncle Don J, Jaybird, fly away, fly away.
Monica, thank you for sharing those stories. Are you gonna like print them on something so we can read them? They're wonderful.
Oh, thank you, thanks. I feel like they need to be like come alive. Like I would like to like record them being read, and maybe another iteration of this show would have, so you can listen to the stories. Yeah.
Before you shared the story about the birds, I don't know if this was intended, but I thought that this was an owl with like a hand with like a little owl in it.
A hand with an owl in it?
Yeah.
Can you show me how I can
Like the hand was like right here,
Okay.
and then the owl was like right here.
Cool.
I did too much acid. No, I'm just kidding.
Today.
I love that so much, you know.
You know what else I noticed is you were talking about the question earlier about color and color choice. And you were talking about how it's an intuitive process for you. But then when you talked about the blue and that was so significant to their love and this kind of transcendent element of it. Do you see that now?
Yeah, I feel like that wasn't I feel like the blue was maybe more closer to the piece here, the blue that's in the background, like more something like that. And actually that, maybe I'm talking too much, but kind of that orange that's going through the top, in the middle. I'm saying the top of the couch, but you wouldn't know that was the couch. That orange there, I was thinking about that. Or actually, no, it's the blue that's behind it that I was remembering that moment, kind of like that energy of that electric aura that touched both of them. But of course, that is not the same day. This is a day before I existed, so I'm mixing that chronology of my memory of them on possibly that same couch, but on a different day. But yeah, I think that some of these colors are definitely from my memory. Like this one, so you said 70s psychedelic pop, like, remember Tupperware, like the Tupperware plates? I think these are like the color, like some of the colors that were those Tupperware plates, you know? So it is like just pulling from random times and in my history with them, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Thank you so much, Monica.